The massive space station hung in orbit around Kepler 442b like a glowing jewel against the dark of space. Ships from 12 different alien species docked at its ports, their crews preparing for the annual military assessment that would decide the fate of countless worlds. Inside the main council chamber, representatives sat in a perfect circle, each delegation showcasing the might of their civilization. Admiral Jack Morrison walked into the chamber with steady steps. Behind him came Captain Lisa Grant and Commander Ryan Blake, their blue uniforms looking plain compared to the exotic clothing worn by the alien delegates. The humans carried simple data tablets while other species brought floating holographic displays and crystal storage devices that pulsed with inner light. "Ah, the humans arrive," said Fleet Commander Zixtal from the Vorthon Collective. His 6 arms gestured dismissively as his translator converted his clicking language into standard galactic speech. How quaint that they still use physical tablets. Morrison ignored the comment and took his assigned seat. The chamber was designed to intimidate, with its soaring ceiling and walls made from transparent metal that showed the stars beyond. Each alien species had deliberately positioned themselves to display their technological superiority. The Zephyrian Empire representatives wore powered armor that hummed with energy. The crystalline hegemony delegates were beings of living crystal whose bodies reflected light in impossible patterns. "Let us begin the assessment," announced High Counselor Vexara, a tall being from the Aquatic Federation whose skin changed colors as she spoke. "Each delegation will present their current military capabilities for galactic defense rating." The presentations began with the Zephyrian Empire. Their war chief, Kethvar, stood 9 feet tall in his ceremonial battle armor. Holographic displays showed massive ships bristling with plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes. "Our fleet consists of 800 vessels," he declared, "each one capable of destroying a moon with a single volley." Murmurs of approval rippled through the chamber. The crystalline hegemony followed with their own display of ships that seemed to be carved from single gems, their hulls focusing energy beams that could cut through any known material. Species after species presented weapons that bent the laws of physics and ships that moved faster than light itself. Finally, it was humanity's turn. Morrison stood and activated his simple tablet. The holographic display showed human ships that looked like metal boxes with engines attached. Their weapons were listed as railguns, missile launchers, and kinetic accelerators. Silence filled the chamber for a moment. Then laughter began. It started as quiet chuckling from the Zephyrian delegation and spread until the entire room echoed with alien amusement. "Railguns?" Zixtal wiped moisture from his compound eyes. "They still use metal. Projectiles? Look at their ships," added a delegate from the Silicon Confederacy. "They have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum disruptors. What year do they think this is?" Morrison remained calm as the laughter continued. Grant and Blake sat perfectly still, their faces showing no emotion. They had expected this reaction. Kethavar leaned forward in his massive chair. "Honorable humans," he said, though his tone carried no honor at all. "Perhaps you have brought the wrong data? These specifications appear to be from your ancient history files." "The data is correct," Morrison replied simply. "This represents our current fleet capabilities." More laughter erupted. A thin delegate from the Energy Collective shook his head. "Primitive kinetic weapons cannot penetrate modern energy shields. Your missiles would be destroyed by point defense systems before they could reach their targets. What do you plan to fight with? Rocks and sticks?" Our weapons have served us well in our conflicts, Morrison said. What conflicts? Demanded Zixtal. Have you fought space battles against asteroids? The crystalline hegemony representative chimed like broken glass when she laughed. Their largest ship masses only 800,000 tons. Our scouts are bigger than their battleships. High Counselor Vexara called for order, but her own color patterns showed she was struggling not to laugh. The assessment will continue as planned, she announced. However, based on presented capabilities, the preliminary rating for human military forces is... She paused, checking her data. Negligible threat level. The chamber erupted in fresh laughter. Morrison noticed that several delegates were recording the proceedings, probably to share the joke with their home worlds later. Negligible threat level means you will be assigned to Sector 7, Vexara explained. The quietest region of contested space. Perhaps you can use your rail guns to discourage pirates and smugglers. Kethvar stood again, his armor gleaming under the chamber lights. I propose we make this official. The human fleet should be reclassified from military force to historical curiosity. Perhaps they could open a museum. Seconded, called out multiple voices around the chamber. Morrison finally spoke up. We appreciate the assignment to Sector 7. We will patrol that region with dedication. Of course you will, Zixtal said. What else could you possibly do with such equipment? At least in Sector 7, you will be safely away from real combat. The meeting continued with discussions of territory assignments and resource allocation. Every few minutes, another delegate would make a joke about human ancient technology or museum pieces. The humans sat quietly through it all, taking notes and asking only basic questions about patrol routes and supply schedules. As the session ended, delegates began filing out in groups. Morrison heard fragments of conversation as they passed. Did you see their ship designs? No wonder they never expanded beyond their local systems. 800 ships total. We lose more than that in training accidents. Someone should check if those are actually weapons or just construction equipment. Grant leaned over to Morrison. They certainly seem confident, sir. Confidence can be dangerous, Blake added quietly. Morrison nodded as he gathered his simple data tablets. Around them, aliens discussed humanity's pathetic military as if the humans were not even present. The Admiral watched Kethavar demonstrate a holographic plasma cannon to impressed onlookers, its projected beam cutting through simulated armor like paper. Sir, Grant whispered, should we be concerned about their attitude? Morrison smiled slightly as he stood. Captain, let them think what they want to think. Sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy does not see coming. As the human delegation left the chamber, laughter followed them into the corridor. Behind them, alien species continued to marvel at the primitive humans who still fought, with metal bullets and chemical explosives. None of them noticed the small recording device Morrison left behind, or the way his smile grew wider as they walked toward their transport ship. The assessment was complete. Humanity had been judged and found wanting. The galaxy would soon learn just how wrong that judgment was. 3 weeks after the humiliating assessment, Captain Sam Rodriguez floated through the empty corridors of the colony ship New Horizon. The massive vessel had been drifting in space for over 200 years, abandoned when its colonists found a better world nearby. Now Rodriguez and his research team were here to salvage anything useful before the ship was scrapped. Another dead end, called Chief Engineer Kate Williams from somewhere deeper in the ship. Her voice echoed through the metal hallways. Just empty storage bays and broken life support systems. Rodriguez pushed off a wall and glided toward the command section. The artificial gravity had failed long ago, leaving everything floating in the cold darkness. His helmet lights cut through the shadows as he searched for anything the previous salvage teams might have missed. "Wait," he said into his radio. "There's something here." He had found a sealed door marked with symbols he did not recognize. The metal looked different from the rest of the ship, older somehow. When he tried the door controls, nothing happened. The power had been dead for decades. "Kate, bring your cutting tools to Command Deck 7. I found something strange." Williams arrived 20 minutes later, her equipment bag floating beside her. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and hands that could fix anything mechanical. "What do you have, Sam?" "This door, look at the markings. They are not in standard colony ship design." Williams examined the symbols with her scanner. "These are old military codes. Really old. This door is not supposed to be here according to the ship blueprints." They spent an hour cutting through the thick metal. Behind the door lay a small room filled with data storage units that still glowed with power. Emergency batteries had kept them running for 2 centuries. "How is this possible?" Williams whispered. "These storage units are using power systems that were classified when this ship was built." Rodriguez connected his portable reader to the first storage unit. Text filled his screen in an ancient military format. "Kate, look at this. These are weapon specifications. The files contain detailed plans for every weapon system currently used by the human fleet." But as Rodriguez read deeper, he realized something incredible. The primitive railguns were not primitive at all. They were specifically designed to exploit weaknesses that most species did not even know existed. "This document is signed by General Nathan Cross," Rodriguez said. "The date is from 50 years before first contact with alien species." Williams leaned over his shoulder to read. "That is impossible. How could we design weapons to fight aliens we had never met?" The answer came in the next file. General Cross had not designed weapons to fight specific alien species. He had designed them based on fundamental principles that any advanced civilization would have to follow. Energy shields, plasma weapons, and quantum disruptors all had the same basic weakness. They required massive amounts of power and created predictable energy patterns. "Look at this," Rodriguez pointed to a technical diagram. "Our railguns fire specially designed projectiles that phase through energy fields. The aliens think we use simple metal bullets, but these projectiles actually manipulate quantum fluctuations." Williams stared at the screen. "These designs are genius. No wonder. The Galactic Council thinks our weapons are primitive. They have never seen technology like this." The files revealed more secrets. Human ship hulls were not just metal plates. They contained hidden systems disguised as structural supports. What looked like simple engines actually contained gravitational manipulators. Communication arrays doubled as quantum disruption fields. Even the basic life support systems had military applications. "Sam, this changes everything," Williams said. "Our entire fleet is basically a giant deception. Every alien species thinks we are using museum pieces, but we have weapons they cannot even imagine." Rodriguez opened another file labeled Activation. Protocols. His hand shook as he read the contents. "Kate, every ship in our fleet has dormant systems waiting for a specific command code. When activated, our primitive weapons will reveal their true capabilities. The protocols were detailed and precise. Ships that looked like simple metal boxes would transform into the most advanced fighting machines in the galaxy. The railguns would fire projectiles that could punch through any known defense. The missile systems would launch weapons that could track targets through multiple dimensions. "Why did General Cross hide all this?" Williams asked. Rodriguez found the answer in Cross's personal notes. The general had studied every first contact scenario in human history. He knew that advanced species always underestimated primitive ones. By deliberately making human technology look outdated, Cross ensured that any potential enemy would prepare for the wrong kind of fight. He wanted our enemies to be overconfident, Rodriguez realized. While they waste time developing better energy weapons and stronger shields, we would hit them with something completely different. Williams was already copying the files to her portable storage device. "We need to get this information to Fleet Command immediately." "There's more," Rodriguez said, opening the final set of files. Cross left detailed battle plans for dozens of different scenarios. He predicted exactly how advanced alien species would fight, and he designed counters for every possible tactic. The battle plans were works of art. Cross had anticipated energy-based weapons, adaptive shields, and even quantum entanglement communication. For every alien advantage, he had created a human counter-advantage. The outdated human fleet was actually designed to defeat enemies who were hundreds of years more advanced. "Look at this tactical plan," Williams pointed to a complex diagram. "If enemy ships use formation flying, our hidden gravitational weapons can pull them together and crush them. If they spread out, our long-range kinetic weapons can pick them off one by one." Rodriguez saved everything to multiple storage devices. "Kate, if this information is accurate, then humanity is not the weakest species in the galaxy. We might be the strongest." They spent the rest of the day going through files. Cross had thought of everything. He had even planned for the specific scenario they now faced, human ships being assigned to low-priority sectors while alien species grew overconfident. According to this timeline, Williams said, Cross expected first contact to happen within 50 years of when he wrote these plans. He was almost exactly right. The final file contained a simple message from General Cross to whoever would eventually find his hidden archive. "The enemy will judge us by our appearance, not our capabilities. Let them think we are weak until the moment we prove them wrong. Trust in the plan, trust in the technology, and remember that the oldest weapons are often the most effective weapons." Rodriguez sealed the storage devices in protective cases. "We need to get back to Earth immediately." As their shuttle left the derelict colony ship, Williams stared out at the stars. "Sam, do you think Cross was right? Can we really defeat species that are centuries ahead of us technologically?" Rodriguez smiled as he plotted a course for home. "Kate, I think we are about to find out." Behind them, the New Horizon continued its lonely drift through space, its secrets finally revealed after 2 centuries of waiting. Soon, those secrets would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The War Council meeting took place aboard the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Conquest, a massive vessel that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. War Chief Kethvar stood at the center of a holographic star map, his 4 arms gesturing as he outlined his plan to the assembled alien commanders. "Fellow warriors," Kethvar announced, his voice booming through the chamber, "the time has come to demonstrate the true power of advanced civilization. The humans present us with a perfect opportunity." Around the circular table sat the most powerful military leaders in the galaxy. High Crystal Vex Thara represented the crystalline hegemony, her body refracting light into rainbow patterns. Fleet Commander Zixtal spoke for the Vorthan Collective, his compound eyes reflecting the star map's glow. Together, these 3 species controlled over half the galaxy's military might. "The human fleet is pathetic," Zixtal clicked in amusement. 800 ships with primitive weapons. My personal guard fleet could destroy them in an afternoon. Vexathara's crystalline voice chimed like breaking glass. Their technology is centuries behind ours. They still use chemical propulsion and metal projectiles. It would hardly qualify as a battle. Kethvar nodded approvingly. Exactly. Which is why crushing them will send the perfect message to every minor species in the galaxy. When they see what happens to those who refuse to join our alliance, they will surrender without a fight. The war chief activated a new section of the star map showing human territory. 23 colonies clustered around Earth, connected by slow transport ships that took months to travel between systems. Compared to the vast empires surrounding them, human space looked tiny and vulnerable. Our intelligence reports indicate the humans have no allies, Vexthara observed. The Aquatic Federation considers them amusing but harmless. The Energy Collective views them as primitive curiosities. No one will come to their aid. Zixtal's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. Even if every minor species combined their fleets, they could not match a single one of our battle groups. The humans are completely isolated. Kethvar pointed to a star system near the edge of human space. We will make our demand here, at their colony of New Boston. A simple ultimatum: surrender all territory and accept vassal status under our alliance, or face complete annihilation. What terms should we offer for their surrender? Asked Vexthara. Terms? Kethvar's mandibles spread in what humans would recognize as a predatory grin. They will become subjects, not allies. Human worlds will provide raw materials for our industries. Their ships will be scrapped for metal. Their crews can serve as laborers in our mining operations. The alien commanders murmured approval. This was standard practice when dealing with primitive species. Advanced civilizations had a responsibility to guide lesser ones, even if that guidance required force. How long should we give them to consider our offer? Zixtal asked. 1 standard day, Kethvar decided. Enough time for them to realize resistance is hopeless, but not enough time to organize any meaningful defense. Vexathara's body flashed with excited colors. Should we prepare for a demonstration? Perhaps destroy one of their smaller colonies? To show our seriousness? Unnecessary, Kethvar waved dismissively. The mere sight of our combined fleet will be demonstration enough. 300 ships against their pitiful 800 antiquated vessels. They will surrender immediately. The commander spent the next several hours planning their approach. Each species would contribute their most advanced warships to create an overwhelming display of power. The Zephyrian Empire would provide their newest plasma battleships. The crystalline hegemony would bring their beam-focused dreadnoughts. The Vorthan Collective would add their quantum-disrupted cruisers. We should broadcast the entire event across all galactic networks, suggested Zixtal. Let every species see what happens to those who resist the natural order. Excellent idea, Kethvar agreed. We will transmit from the moment we arrive in their space until their final surrender. Other primitive species will see the futility of resistance. As the meeting continued, junior officers brought reports from their home governments. The Zephyrian Empire was already preparing victory celebrations. The crystalline hegemony had begun dividing human territory among their mining guilds. The Vorthan Collective was designing work camps for human prisoners. There is one small matter, Vexathara mentioned. The humans have requested a diplomatic meeting. Their ambassador, Elena Foster, wishes to discuss terms before any military action. Kethvar's laughter boomed through the chamber. Terms? What terms could they possibly offer? They have nothing we want except their unconditional surrender. Should we meet with their diplomat? Asked Zixtal. Why not? Kethvar shrugged. It will be amusing to hear their desperate pleas. Perhaps we can record that as well for the galactic broadcasts. The diplomatic meeting was scheduled for the next day aboard a neutral station. Ambassador Foster arrived with a small escort, her shuttle looking like a toy compared to the massive alien warships surrounding the station. She was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and calm eyes that betrayed no fear. Honored commanders, Foster began as she entered the conference room. I come seeking a peaceful resolution to our current situation. There is only one resolution, Kethavar declared. Humanity will accept vassal status under our alliance. Your fleets will be disbanded. Your colonies will become resource extraction sites, and your people will serve the greater galactic community. Foster's expression never changed. And if we refuse these terms? Vexathera's crystalline form brightened. Then we will demonstrate the consequences of defying advanced civilizations. Your species will serve as an example to others. You should consider our offer generous, Zixtal added. Many primitive species are simply wiped out entirely. We are offering you the chance to survive as servants. Foster nodded slowly. I see. And there is no possibility of negotiation? Perhaps a middle ground where humanity maintains some autonomy? Alien commanders exchanged amused glances. Kethvar leaned forward. Ambassador, you seem to misunderstand your position. This is not a negotiation. This is an ultimatum. You have 1 day to respond. 1 day, Foster repeated. And if we refuse? Then your species will learn why the galaxy belongs to those strong enough to claim it, Kethvar growled. Foster stood and gathered her documents. Then I suppose we have nothing more to discuss. Thank you for making your position clear. As the human ambassador left the station, the alien commanders congratulated themselves on handling the situation perfectly. They had been firm, but not unreasonable. Humanity would have a full day to accept reality and surrender peacefully. Deploy the fleet, Kethvar ordered. Position our ships at the edge of their space. When they see our combined might, they will realize resistance is impossible. 300 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy began moving toward human territory. Their crews were confident and their commanders were certain of victory. After all, what could primitive humans with their outdated weapons possibly do against such overwhelming technological superiority? The answer to that question would shock the entire galaxy. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the tactical display as his fleet moved into position at the Titan Nebula. 47 human ships spread out in formation, their hulls dark against the swirling purple clouds of cosmic dust. Each vessel looked exactly like what the aliens expected. Simple metal boxes with engines attached, armed with primitive weapons that belonged in a museum. Sir, long-range sensors detect the alien fleet approaching, reported Lieutenant Paul Davis from the sensor station. 312 ships, just as intelligence predicted. Captain Lisa Grant stood beside Morrison, her calm expression hiding the tension they all felt. They certainly brought everything they had, Admiral. Of course they did, Morrison replied. This is supposed to be a demonstration, not a battle. They want to intimidate the entire galaxy. Commander Ryan Blake moved between the bridge stations, checking readiness reports from each department. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, their training evident in every movement. None of them showed the fear that most species would feel when facing such overwhelming odds. Communications. Open a channel to all ships, Morrison ordered. The communications officer, Ensign Maria Lopez, nodded. "Channel open, sir." Morrison activated the fleet-wide broadcast. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. You have all received your classified mission briefings. Today we will show the galaxy what human determination can accomplish. Execute Protocol 7 when I give the command. Until then, maintain standard operational procedures." Across the fleet, ship commanders acknowledged the order. Each captain knew exactly what Protocol 7 meant, thanks to the information Captain Rodriguez had discovered in the ancient archives. The dormant systems hidden throughout their ships would activate at Morrison's command, transforming the human fleet from apparent antiques into the most advanced fighting force in the galaxy. "Sir, incoming transmission from the alien fleet," Lopez announced. "Put it on screen." The main display showed War Chief Kethvar in his ceremonial armor, flanked by the commanders of the Crystalline Hegemony and Vorthon Collective. Behind them, the bridges of their respective flagships glowed with exotic energy displays. "Human Admiral Morrison!" Kethvar's voice boomed with confidence. "I am surprised to see you here. Did your government not receive our ultimatum?" "We received it," Morrison replied calmly. "We found your terms unacceptable." Laughter echoed from the alien bridge. "Unacceptable? Look around you, Admiral. You have brought 47 antique ships against the combined might of 3 galactic powers. Do you really think your primitive weapons can challenge us?" Morrison glanced at Captain Grant, who smiled slightly. "Our weapons have served us well in the past, War Chief." "Against what enemies?" Zixtal clicked mockingly. "Space pirates? Asteroid miners? You have never faced a real military force." High Crystal Vexthara's voice chimed like breaking bells. "Admiral, surely you can see the futility of resistance. Our ships carry weapons that can destroy planets. Our shields can withstand the energy output of entire star systems. What do you have to match such power?" "We have human ingenuity," Morrison answered simply. More laughter erupted from the alien commanders. Kethvar gestured to his tactical officer. "Show them what they face." The alien fleet moved into attack formation, their ships spreading out in a massive crescent that stretched across light minutes of space. Each vessel bristled with energy weapons that glowed with barely contained power. The largest ships massed over 10 million tons, dwarfing even humanity's biggest battleship. "Impressive," Morrison admitted. "Your ships are certainly large." "Large and deadly," Kethvar corrected. "Each of our heavy cruisers carries more firepower than your entire fleet combined. Our energy shields are rated to withstand direct hits from stellar phenomena. Your metal projectiles will simply bounce off our hulls." Blake leaned over to Morrison. "Sir, they are moving to optimal firing range. Should we begin evasive maneuvers?" "Negative, Commander. Maintain standard formation. Let them get as close as they want." The alien fleet closed to what they considered effective combat range, roughly 50,000 kilometers. At this distance, their energy weapons would have maximum impact while remaining well outside the range of primitive kinetic weapons. "This is your final chance, Admiral," Kethvar announced. "Surrender now, and your crews will be treated as prisoners of war. Continue this foolish resistance, and we will broadcast your destruction across the galaxy as a warning to other primitive species." Morrison looked around his bridge at the calm, professional faces of his crew. These men and women had trained their entire careers for this moment, even though most of them had never known it until recently. "War Chief, we appreciate your concern for our welfare. However, humanity will not surrender to anyone." "Then you have chosen death," Vexithara chimed coldly. The alien ships began powering their weapons. Energy readings spiked across hundreds of vessels as plasma cannons, quantum disruptors, and crystal focus beams prepared to fire. The space between the fleets crackled with discharge effects from the massive power buildup. "Sir," Davis reported, "from sensors, they are charging weapons across their entire fleet. Estimated time to firing readiness is 3 minutes." Morrison nodded. "All ships, prepare for Protocol 7 activation. Wait for my command." Throughout the human fleet, crews moved to battle stations. But instead of manning traditional weapons, they activated systems that had been hidden in their ships since construction. Chief engineers across 47 vessels powered up equipment that had never appeared on any public specification sheet. "Admiral," Grant said quietly, "are you certain this will work? The alien fleet is even larger than our estimates suggested." Morrison smiled as he watched the alien ships continue their approach. "Captain, our ancestors once faced similar odds. A few primitive humans with simple weapons defeating vast, technologically superior empires. Today we honor that tradition." The alien fleet reached optimal firing position. Kethvar's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Citizens of the galaxy, witness what happens to those who defy the natural order. The human fleet will be destroyed. In minutes, their primitive weapons useless against advanced technology." Morrison took a deep breath. Around him, his bridge crew waited with professional calm. Similar scenes played out on 46 other ships as human crews prepared to reveal secrets that had been hidden for over 2 centuries. "All ships," Morrison announced, "execute Protocol 7. Show them what human weapons can really do." Across the human fleet, dormant systems came online with a deep, harmonic vibration that could be felt through every hull. The primitive ships began to transform as their true nature was revealed. What the aliens had dismissed as museum pieces were about to demonstrate why underestimating humanity was the most dangerous mistake anyone could make. The real battle was about to begin. The moment Admiral Morrison gave the activation command, every human ship in the fleet began to change. The transformation was not visible from outside. The hulls still looked like simple metal plates, and the engines still appeared to be basic chemical rockets. But inside each vessel, systems that had slept for decades suddenly roared to life. Commander Blake felt the vibration through the deck plates of the USS Defiance. "Sir, all hidden systems are coming online. Power levels are climbing beyond normal operational parameters." Throughout the ship, crew members watched in amazement as their primitive equipment revealed its true nature. Chief Engineer Kate Williams, who had helped decode the ancient files, supervised the activation from engineering. "Gravitational field generators at full power," she reported. "Quantum phase modulators are synchronized across the fleet." "Captain," Grant studied her tactical display as new information flooded in. "Admiral, our weapon systems are showing capabilities I have never seen before. The railguns are... This cannot be right." Morrison smiled as he watched the readouts. "What you are seeing is accurate, Captain. Our railguns do not fire simple metal bullets. They launch quantum phase projectiles that can pass through energy shields as if they do not exist." On the alien flagship, War Chief Kethvar prepared to give the order to fire. His tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Korix, monitored the human ships with growing confusion. "War Chief, I am detecting unusual energy patterns from the human fleet." "What kind of patterns?" Kethvar demanded without taking his eyes off the main display. "I am not certain, sir. Their power output has increased dramatically, but their ship designs have not changed. It is as if they are using technology our sensors cannot properly identify," Kethvar waved dismissively. Impossible. We have complete sensor data on human technology. They have no hidden systems. High Crystal Vexithara's form flickered with uncertain colors. War Chief, my sensors are detecting gravitational anomalies around several human ships. This should not be possible with their engine designs. Fleet Commander Zixtal's compound eyes focused on his own sensor displays. I am seeing similar readings. The humans appear to be generating fields that should require massive installation several times larger than their entire ships. Kethvar growled in frustration. Sensor malfunctions. Their proximity to the nebula must be interfering with our equipment. All ships fire when ready. The alien fleet opened fire in a coordinated barrage that lit up space like a miniature star. Hundreds of plasma beams, quantum disruptors, and energy torpedoes streaked toward the human formation. The combined firepower was enough to sterilize entire planets. Morrison watched the incoming fire with calm interest. All ships demonstrate our defensive capabilities. What happened next defied every law of physics the aliens thought they understood. The devastating energy barrage struck the human ships and simply disappeared. Not deflected or absorbed. The plasma beams and quantum torpedoes passed through the human hulls as if the ships were not there at all. Impossible! Kethvar roared. Fire again! Full power! The second barrage was even more intense than the first. Every alien ship fired everything they had, pouring enough energy into space to power small civilizations. Once again, the weapons passed harmlessly through the human fleet. On the USS Defiance, Williams monitored the phase shield systems. Admiral, our quantum phase modulators are working perfectly. Enemy weapons are being shifted into parallel dimensions where they cannot affect our ships. Blake shook his head in amazement. Sir, how long have our ships carried this technology? Since they were built, Morrison replied. Every human vessel was designed with these capabilities, hidden beneath conventional systems. We have been preparing for this day for over 2 centuries. Captain Rodriguez, monitoring the battle from his research ship, opened a channel to the fleet. Admiral, I have more files from the archives. Our weapon systems have additional capabilities beyond what we have activated. Show me, Morrison ordered. New data flowed across his display. The human railguns could fire more than quantum phase projectiles. They could launch gravitational disruptors that would tear enemy ships apart at the molecular level. The missile systems could fire warheads that would track targets across multiple dimensions. Even the basic communication arrays could generate electromagnetic pulses that would shut down any electronic system. On the alien flagship, panic was beginning to spread. Korix frantically worked his sensor controls. War Chief, our weapons are having no effect. The human ships appear to be using some form of dimensional manipulation. That technology does not exist, Kethvar shouted. No species has developed dimensional phase shifting. Vexithara's crystalline form was pulsing with alarm colors. War Chief, I recommend we withdraw and reassess the situation. The humans clearly possess technology we do not understand. Withdraw. Kethavar's mandibles clicked with rage. We outnumber them 7-1. They cannot possibly defeat our combined fleet. Morrison decided it was time to demonstrate human offensive capabilities. All ships, target the alien flagship. Fire a single warning shot. The USS Defiance rotated slowly until its main railgun pointed at Kethvar's massive battleship. To alien observers, it looked like a tiny projectile weapon facing a mountain of advanced technology. Firing, announced the weapons officer. A single projectile left the railgun at a significant fraction of light speed. But this was not the simple metal bullet the aliens expected. The quantum phase projectile passed through the alien flagship's shields without slowing down, punched through 3 feet of advanced armor plating, and emerged from the other side of the ship before detonating in empty space. The alien bridge shook violently as atmosphere rushed out through the perfectly circular hole that had appeared in their impenetrable hull. Emergency systems sealed the breach, but the damage was done. A primitive human weapon had just proved that their most advanced defenses were useless. How? Zixtal whispered, his mandibles trembling with shock. Morrison opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. War Chief Kethvar, that was a demonstration. Our next shots will not miss your vital systems. Kethvar stared at the damage report on his screen. A single human projectile had penetrated shields that could withstand direct hits from stellar phenomena. What are you? We are humans, Morrison replied simply. And we do not surrender. William's voice came over the ship's intercom. Admiral, all ships report ready for full combat operations. Our hidden weapon systems are performing better than the original specifications predicted. Morrison looked at his tactical display, which now showed the true capabilities of his fleet. 47 ships that looked like primitive antiques were actually the most advanced fighting machines in the galaxy. Each one carried weapons that could defeat entire alien battle groups. Alien fleet, Morrison broadcast. You came here to demonstrate your superiority. Instead, you have learned that appearances can be deceiving. We offer you one chance to withdraw peacefully. The silence from the alien fleet stretched for long minutes. Then Kethvar's voice came back, filled with rage and disbelief. Never! All ships, attack formation Beta. If their shields can stop energy weapons, we will ram them with our hulls. Morrison sighed. They never learn. All ships, prepare for full engagement. Show them what human technology can really accomplish. The real battle was about to begin, and the aliens were about to discover just how badly they had underestimated the primitive human race. The alien fleet charged forward in desperation, their commanders believing that ramming attacks might succeed where energy weapons had failed. 300 ships accelerated toward the human formation, their hulls glowing with the strain of maximum engine output. War Chief Kethvar led the charge in his massive flagship, determined to crush the humans through sheer mass and momentum. Admiral Morrison watched the approaching alien armada with calm calculation. Commander Blake, activate our inertial manipulation systems. Let us show them how human ships really move. Blake's fingers danced over his control panel. Inertial dampeners online, sir. All ships report ready for advanced maneuvering. What happened next shattered every alien understanding of space combat. The human ships, which had been moving in predictable straight lines like conventional vessels, suddenly began to dance. They twisted and spun through space as if gravity and momentum meant nothing to them, avoiding the alien ramming attacks with impossible grace. Commander Ryan Blake's destroyer squadron demonstrated the full capabilities of their hidden systems. His ship, the USS Ranger, rolled completely upside down while maintaining forward velocity, then snapped into a 90-degree turn that should have torn the vessel apart. Other destroyers performed similar maneuvers, weaving between alien ships like fighters instead of massive warships. "This is impossible!" screamed Corax from the alien flagship. "Ships that size cannot maneuver like that. They should be crushed by their own acceleration." War Chief Kethvar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Human ships were performing maneuvers that violated the fundamental laws of physics. What technology are they using? Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the fleet communication system. Admiral, I have found additional files in the archives. Our inertial dampeners are based on gravitational manipulation technology that predates galactic civilization by thousands of years. Morrison nodded as he watched his ships avoid every alien attack with effortless precision. The ancestors who designed these systems understood that controlling gravity meant controlling the battlefield. High Crystal Vexathara's crystalline form flickered with confusion and fear. Their ships are moving like they have no mass. This should require energy sources larger than entire star systems. Fleet Commander Zixtal's compound eyes tracked the human movements with growing horror. They are not just avoiding our ships. They are predicting our moves before we make them. He was right. The human tactical computers, enhanced by quantum processing systems hidden within their hulls, could calculate the most likely alien responses and counter them before the aliens even realized what they were doing. It was like watching chess. Masters play against children. Morrison decided to demonstrate more of humanity's hidden capabilities. All ships, activate gravitational weapons. Target the alien heavy cruisers. Across the human fleet, systems that had been disguised as simple engine housings revealed their true purpose. The gravitational manipulators that allowed human ships to dance through space could also be used as weapons of devastating power. The USS Liberty, Captain Sam Rodriguez's research vessel, targeted a massive crystalline hegemony dreadnought. What looked like a communication array suddenly generated a focused gravitational field that reached across space to grab the alien ship. The dreadnought, which massed 15 million tons, began to crumple like paper as the gravitational weapon compressed its hull. The crystalline armor that could withstand plasma cannon impacts shattered as the ship was crushed by forces beyond the aliens' comprehension. "Target destroyed," Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield as human gravitational weapons tore apart alien ships with contemptuous ease. Vessels that had taken decades to build were reduced to scrap, metal in seconds. The alien alliance's technological superiority meant nothing against weapons that manipulated the fundamental forces of the universe. Captain Grant's USS Defiance demonstrated another capability of human technology. Her ship's quantum disruptor array, disguised as a simple sensor dish, fired an invisible beam that passed through an alien battleship's shields and directly attacked the molecular bonds holding the hull together. The Zephyrian battleship simply fell apart, its atoms separating as if the ship had never been built. The crew had enough time to realize what was happening before their vessel became a cloud of individual particles drifting through space. "Sir," Blake reported with awe in his voice, "our weapons are performing beyond all theoretical predictions. The aliens have no defense against technology they cannot even detect." Chief Engineer Williams monitored the battle from her engineering station. "Admiral, our power systems are operating at only 30% capacity. We could maintain this level of combat indefinitely." Morrison smiled as he watched another alien formation disintegrate under human fire. "The beauty of gravitational weapons, Chief. They use the enemy's own mass against them. The larger their ships, the more devastating our attacks become." "War Chief." Kethavar's flagship shuddered as human weapons tore through his formation. Half his fleet was already destroyed or disabled, and the humans had not even been scratched. "All ships, retreat! Fall back to Rally Point Alpha." But escape was impossible. Human ships moved faster than anything the aliens could match, and their weapons had unlimited range. As alien vessels tried to flee, quantum phase projectiles found them across millions of kilometers, punching through their hulls as if distance meant nothing. Fleet Commander Zixtal watched his personal squadron disintegrate. Around him, War Chief, we must surrender. Our technology cannot match theirs. Never, Kethvar roared, but his voice carried desperation now instead of confidence. Continue the attack. All remaining ships. Ramming speed. The surviving alien vessels, less than half their original number, made one final desperate charge. They fired everything they had while accelerating directly toward the human ships, hoping to accomplish something through sacrifice, what they could not achieve through tactics. Morrison watched the final attack with something approaching pity. All ships, demonstrate our defensive matrix. Let them see why ramming attacks are futile. The human ships activated their final hidden system, defensive gravitational fields that could stop any physical attack. As alien vessels crashed into the invisible barriers, they simply stopped dead in space. Ships moving at thousands of kilometers per hour came to instant halts, their crews thrown forward by momentum that the gravity fields absorbed effortlessly. Impossible, Vexathera whispered as her flagship struck the barrier and stopped like it had hit a solid wall. No technology can absorb that much kinetic energy. Rodriguez consulted his archive files again. Admiral, according to General Cross's notes, our defensive fields can stop objects moving at near light speed. Ramming attacks are specifically mentioned as ineffective. Morrison opened a communication channel to the surviving alien ships. War Chief Kethvar, your fleet is defeated. Half your ships are destroyed, and the remainder are trapped against our defensive barriers. Will you surrender now? The silence stretched for long minutes. Then Kethvar's voice came back, broken and defeated. What are you? How do you possess such technology? We are humans, Morrison replied. And our ancestors were very wise. They knew that the most effective weapons are often the oldest weapons. While you developed energy-based technology, we perfected the manipulation of fundamental forces. Williams's voice came over the intercom. Admiral, we are receiving surrender signals from alien ships throughout the fleet. Their commanders are requesting terms. Morrison looked at his tactical display, which showed the complete destruction of what had been the most powerful fleet in galactic history. 47 human ships had defeated over 300 alien vessels without taking a single casualty. Accept their surrender, Morrison ordered, and prepare to broadcast our victory to the galaxy. It is time for everyone to learn that humanity is not the primitive species they believed us to be. The Battle of Titan Nebula was over, and the balance of galactic power had shifted forever. The aftermath of the battle left the alien fleet scattered and broken across millions of cubic kilometers of space. Ships that had been the pride of 3 galactic empires now drifted powerless, their crews stunned into silence by the complete reversal of everything they thought they knew about warfare. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching as human ships moved among the wreckage like wolves among sheep. His fleet had not lost a single vessel, while the alien alliance had been crushed so thoroughly that their military power was effectively eliminated. Sir, we are receiving surrender transmissions from 147 alien vessels, reported Communications Officer Lopez. The remaining ships appear to be completely disabled. Captain Grant consulted her tactical display. Admiral, our sensors show that most alien ships have suffered total system failures. Their crews are alive, but their technology appears to, have been overwhelmed by our weapons. Morrison nodded with satisfaction. When you design weapons to exploit fundamental forces, conventional technology becomes useless against them. Commander Blake, status report on our hidden systems. Blake moved between bridge stations, collecting data from each department. All gravitational manipulators operating at optimal efficiency. Quantum phase systems show no degradation. Inertial. Dampeners are functioning perfectly. Sir, our ships could fight at this level for months without requiring maintenance. Chief Engineer Williams' voice came over the intercom from engineering. Admiral, I have been analyzing our power consumption during the battle. We used less than 15% of our total available energy. These systems are more efficient than anything in our conventional technology database. Captain Rodriguez's research vessel moved alongside War Chief Kethvar's damaged flagship. The massive Zephyrian battleship hung motionless in space, its hull marked by dozens of perfectly circular holes where quantum phase projectiles had punched through armor that was supposed to be impenetrable. "Admiral," Rodriguez reported, "I am reading the alien flagship's internal communications. Their engineering staff is trying to understand how our weapons penetrated their shields. They cannot comprehend technology that operates outside their scientific framework." Morrison opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. "War Chief Kethvar, this is Admiral Morrison. Are you prepared to discuss terms?" The reply came after a long delay, Kethvar's voice hollow with defeat. "Admiral Morrison, we surrender unconditionally. Our fleet is defeated. But I must know, how do you possess such advanced technology? Our intelligence indicated that humans were centuries behind galactic standards." "Your intelligence was designed to see what we wanted you to see," Morrison replied. "For over 2 centuries, humanity has deliberately maintained the appearance of primitive technology while developing weapons based on principles your species abandoned long ago." High Crystal Vexithara's broken transmission came from her damaged dreadnought. "This is impossible. Gravitational manipulation requires massive installations. Your ships are too small to contain such systems." Chief Williams answered from her engineering station. "That is your mistake, Crystal Commander. You assumed that advanced technology must be large and obvious. Human engineers learned to miniaturize systems that other species thought required. Planetary installations." Fleet Commander Zixtal's voice carried complete bewilderment. "How did you predict our every move? Your ships avoided our attacks as if you could see the future." Commander Blake smiled as he monitored the tactical systems. "We did not see the future, Commander. We simply calculated all possible options and prepared counters for each one. When you limit yourself to energy-based weapons and predictable tactics, you become easy to defeat." Morrison activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All human ships, prepare to escort our prisoners back to their home territories. We will demonstrate that humanity can be merciful in victory." The process of securing the alien fleet took several hours. Human boarding parties, led by officers who had studied alien technology through captured intelligence, systematically disabled any remaining weapon systems and provided medical aid to injured alien crews. Captain Grant led a boarding team to Kethvar's flagship. She found the war chief sitting in his command chair, staring at damage reports that made no sense according to his understanding of physics. "War Chief," Grant said as she entered the alien bridge, "your crew requires medical attention. Our doctors are prepared to assist." Kethavar looked up at the human captain with haunted eyes. "How many of my warriors died today?" Grant consulted her data pad. "Surprisingly few. Our weapons were designed to disable ships, not massacre crews. Total casualties across your entire fleet are less than 3,000. Most of your personnel are uninjured." 3,000, Kethvar repeated in amazement. "We expected total annihilation. Why did you show mercy?" "Because," Grant replied, "humans understand the difference between defeating an enemy and destroying them. We wanted to win, not commit genocide." Meanwhile, Captain Rodriguez was broadcasting the complete battle recordings across all galactic communication networks. Every species in the galaxy would see exactly what had happened when three major powers attacked humanity with overwhelming force. "Admiral," Rodriguez reported, "we are receiving communication requests from governments across the galaxy. The Aquatic Federation wants to open immediate diplomatic relations. The Energy Collective is requesting a mutual defense treaty. Even minor species that never spoke to us before are asking for protection from potential aggressors." Morrison watched. His tactical display as alien ships across the galaxy began changing course toward human space, not to attack, but to surrender their weapons and request human protection. "Sir," Lopez announced, "we have an incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. High Counselor Vexara is requesting an emergency session to discuss humanity's new status." "Tell the Council we will attend," Morrison replied, "but the meeting will be held in human space at our conditions." The defeated alien commanders listened as human officers efficiently organized their evacuation and medical treatment. Their technological superiority had proven worthless against enemies who fought with weapons they could not understand or counter. "Admiral Morrison," Vexathara transmitted from her damaged ship, "what will happen to our empires now?" Morrison considered the question carefully. "That depends on how quickly you learn to coexist peacefully with your neighbors. Humanity has no desire to conquer your worlds, but we will not tolerate aggression against weaker species." Kethvar's mandibles clicked weakly. "You could rule the galaxy with such weapons. Why do you offer mercy instead of domination?" "Because," Morrison replied, "true strength is knowing when not to use your power. Humanity has learned that lesson well. As the human fleet began its journey back to Earth, escorting the defeated alien ships, the balance of galactic civilization shifted forever. The species that had mocked humanity's primitive technology now faced a new reality where the supposedly weakest race had become the strongest power in the galaxy. The age of alien domination was over. The age of human leadership had begun. 6 months after the Battle of Titan Nebula, the Galactic Council convened for the most important session in its 1,000-year history. But instead of meeting at the traditional neutral station, delegates gathered aboard the human orbital facility, above Earth. The symbolism was clear to everyone present. Humanity now set the terms for galactic civilization. Admiral Morrison, now promoted to Fleet Admiral and Supreme Commander of Human Defense Forces, entered the council chamber wearing a simple dress uniform that contrasted sharply with the elaborate robes and ceremonial armor worn by alien delegates. Behind him walked Ambassador Elena Foster, who had been elevated to Secretary of Galactic Affairs. The chamber itself had been redesigned to accommodate the new reality. Where once alien species had arranged themselves by military power, now they sat in a circle of equals, with humanity occupying no special position. The message was subtle but unmistakable. Earth wanted cooperation, not domination. High Counselor. Vexara of the Aquatic Federation called the session to order. Her color patterns showed nervous respect as she addressed the assembly. "Honored delegates, we gather today to formally recognize the new balance of power in our galaxy and to establish frameworks for peaceful coexistence." War Chief Kethvar, now bearing the title of former War Chief and representing a much diminished Zephyrian Empire, stood first. His once proud armor was replaced by simple diplomatic robes, and his 4 arms trembled slightly as he spoke. 6. Months ago, my people made the mistake of believing that military might guarantee victory, he began. We learned that true strength comes not from the size of your fleet, but from the wisdom of your strategy. The Zephyrian Empire formally requests to join the new Galactic Protection Treaty. Similar declarations came from representatives across the chamber. High Crystal Vex Thara of the Crystalline Hegemony announced her people's complete abandonment of aggressive expansion. Fleet Commander Zix Tal, representing what remained of the Vorthan Collective, pledged his species' commitment to peaceful exploration. Ambassador Foster rose to address the assembly. Humanity appreciates these commitments to peace. However, we want to make our position clear. We did not reveal our capabilities to become galactic rulers. We demonstrated our strength to ensure that no species can again threaten others with impunity. The human proposal was elegant in its simplicity. Earth would maintain a defensive fleet to protect smaller species from aggression, but would not interfere in internal affairs or impose human values on alien civilizations. Any species that attacked others would face the same fate as the former. Triumvirate Alliance. Captain Rodriguez, now Director of Archaeological Research, presented his findings from additional archive discoveries. We have located 17 more hidden facilities containing information about human defensive preparations. It appears our ancestors planned for scenarios we have not even encountered yet. The implications were staggering. Humanity's primitive fleet represented only a fraction of their true capabilities. Hidden installations throughout human space contained weapons and defenses that made the Battle of Titan Nebula look like a minor skirmish. Chief Engineer Williams, promoted to Director of Technology Integration, announced a revolutionary development. Humanity is prepared to share certain technologies with species that demonstrate genuine commitment to peace. Not our military systems, but advances in medicine, agriculture, and energy production. The offer created immediate excitement among the delegates. Human technology, even the primitive versions they had previously mocked, now appeared incredibly advanced when viewed through the lens of their true capabilities. For example, Williams continued, our gravitational manipulation systems can be adapted for civilian use. We can teach your engineers to build transportation networks that move cargo instantly across star systems or agricultural systems that increase food production by thousands of %. A delegate from the Silicon Confederacy raised a crystalline appendage. Director Williams, would humanity be willing to establish research partnerships? Our species would be honored to learn from your advanced sciences. Morrison answered for the human delegation. We welcome scientific cooperation, provided it serves peaceful purposes. However, any attempt to weaponize shared technology will result in immediate termination of all agreements and potential military intervention. The threat was delivered calmly, but every delegate understood its implications. Humanity could monitor technology transfers and respond to violations with overwhelming force. The session continued with the establishment of new galactic institutions. The Galactic Defense Force would be commanded by humans, but staffed by volunteers from all species. The Interspecies Research Council would coordinate scientific advancement for peaceful purposes. The Conflict Resolution Authority would mediate disputes before they escalated to warfare. Captain Grant, now Admiral Grant and commander of the Galactic Defense Force, outlined the new military structure. Each member species will contribute ships and personnel according to their capabilities. However, all strategic decisions will be made by human commanders until other species demonstrate they can be trusted with advanced weapons. Former War Chief Kethvar spoke again, his voice carrying hard-earned humility. Admiral Grant, My people offer our remaining fleet for service under human command. We have learned that military power must serve justice, not conquest. Similar offers came from across the chamber. Species that had once competed for dominance now sought to prove their worthiness to serve under human leadership. The most significant change was in how smaller species were treated. Civilizations that had been bullied and exploited by the major powers now found themselves protected by humanity's overwhelming military advantage. The gaseous entities of Nebula Sector 9, who had been forced to provide raw materials to the crystalline hegemony, were now free to develop their civilization without interference. Ambassador Foster announced the establishment of the Protected Species Program. Any civilization that requests human protection will receive it, regardless of their technological level or strategic importance. No species will again be enslaved or exploited by those who possess superior weapons. As the session drew to a close, delegates began signing the new Galactic Charter. The document established principles that would have been impossible to enforce before humanity demonstrated its true capabilities: the right of all species to self-determination, the prohibition of aggressive warfare, and the obligation of advanced civilizations to protect rather than exploit primitive ones. Morrison stood for his final address to the Assembly. 6 months ago, you judged humanity by our appearance rather than our capabilities. Today, I hope you judge us by our actions rather than our weapons. We seek a galaxy where strength serves peace, where technology serves life, and where no species lives in fear of others. The applause that followed was genuine, not the polite acknowledgement of diplomatic protocol. Across the chamber, beings who had once dismissed humanity as primitive now recognized them as the most advanced civilization in galactic history. As delegates departed for their homeworlds, they carried with them recordings of the session and copies of the technologies humanity had agreed to share. The journey home would take weeks for most species, but the news would travel at light speed through quantum communication networks. Morrison remained on the observation deck as the last alien ships departed. Captain Rodriguez joined him, both men watching Earth turn slowly below them. "Do you think it will work, Sam?" Morrison asked. "This attempt to create a peaceful galaxy?" Rodriguez smiled as he watched a group of human children playing in the station's observation area, unaware that they were growing up in a universe where their species was now the protector of countless worlds. "Admiral," he said, "General Cross once wrote that the purpose of superior weapons is to make warfare unnecessary. Today, I think we proved he was right." Below them, Earth continued its ancient rotation, carrying a species that had transformed from galactic joke to galactic guardian. In a single day, the Relic fleet had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same.